Basically, my role is I sit with someone who's dying, be there. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to say anything. If they can't say what's called the Shema, which is one of our holiest prayers, and you're supposed to say it at the moment of death, then I'll say it for them. From the time of death, the body's never left alone. And then the Taharim will come and they'll clean the body ritually in a specialized room, drape it in just a simple white smock. It's never left alone until it's interned. My name is Cory Hill. I'm Jewish, so I serve death within the Jewish community. I would be called, in Hebrew, what's called a Shomer, which would be, it translates roughly to a guard. And my role would be to sit with someone as they pass so that they're not alone. And then from that moment of passage, the body is never left alone until it's interned. So there'll be other Shomers that will also sit. There will be family members too that will sit. And then later the body will be ritually cleaned by another set of volunteers known as Taharim, and just draped in a simple white smock. And usually the goal within Judaism is to have someone buried within 1 to 2 days. There's a whole series of beliefs that kind of drive that. It's interesting because much of Judaism, it's symbolic, and it's based on past things, past rituals, and it's interesting because it's kind of morphed over the thousands of years. Where, like the Shomer, the guard, really in the old days they were guarding from pests, but it sort of morphed into now is someone who sits with the deceased, because our belief is that the soul is still there, and the soul is probably scared and probably confused because they've lived in this body for decades. And so our role is to give comfort so that the soul sees that they're not left alone, and the soul follows the body through the process. That's our belief. And they're only move on to the next world once the body's interned. When somebody leaves their body at the moment of death, our perspective is that the soul remains with the body, separated from it. And the soul is probably confused, probably a mixture of confusion, sadness, don't know what's happening. So we're there to provide comfort, because the belief is that they can see their own body, they can see someone sitting with them and treating it with dignity and respect. And as it moves through the process, the soul follows the body. Everybody within Judaism has access to this. Some don't believe in it, and which is fine, and some don't maybe know, because it's usually handled in the Orthodox stream. There is, though, however, in Vancouver and in other places, there are other Shever Kadishas, which is the word for the society, that are active in the LGBTQ community, in the Reform community, which is a little bit less strict. We're trying to allow access for everybody, but it just depends on where you are. We're just really expected to sit with the body. They could be days from passing, and we're there to maybe spell off the family or friends, so everybody gets hopefully a break, as long as there's someone there. In Judaism, the belief is that right before passing, we're to say a particular prayer called the Shema, which is a very holy prayer. Some people can't say it when they're near death, so we would say it for them on their behalf. And then from there, again, it's just staying with the body so that the soul finds comfort as it then moves on to the next phase, which is to have the body prepared for burial. The sentiment of the prayer is that there is but one God, and that is my God. It's a declaration of your faith and your connection to God. I found myself volunteering because it just felt like a calling, I would say. I couldn't really explain it. People that they asked me to, and I said, Can't really say why. It just feels right. What's happening in those final days and moments, most of the time it's what you'd expect. It's the sort of overall sadness, and then there's some people that are ready to go because of how their last days or weeks have gone. Our belief in Judaism is that we are a soul who has a body rather than a body that has a soul. So our belief is that we have this all-loving, all-knowing energy that's our soul that has, for whatever reason, been given that body for a period of time. And then once that body is cast off, then they ascend to the next world. So some people are quite happy. Some people can be quite joyous about it. There's a few quotes out there of very renowned rabbis who are quite happy to shed this coat, as they say. There's actually a fairly well-defined process if people decide to follow it. After someone is buried, you could sit Shiva is what it's called, where basically in the home of the family, everyone would sit Shiva for 6 days. And there's different observances to it. Some are very orthodox and people follow that to the letter. Others, it's just a way for family to be together and support one another. That goes on for about a week. And so it's basically a support system more than anything for the family. And then there's a couple of other things that happen. A year later, you're mentioned in service in the synagogue. And then it's again representation for the family and remembrance for the person. I think it's community. I think what helps people heal is having a community, having that support system there. And I think having the tools, I think, because it's just not something that people deal with very often. And when they do, they need the tools to deal with it. And within our faith, we've sort of built the tools culturally and within the community. So I've count myself quite lucky that way, because so many of ours are based in historical practices, and each has a reason for it, even though the reason may not really make sense today, but it made sense 2,000, 3,000 years ago. I would say that what the tools that people can have would be definitely the support for the family, because our rituals basically end with the burial of the deceased. The family is the one that really needs the support. And so within the community, if you can have some sort of community, maybe it's not your close family and friends, maybe it's something different, maybe something more, some sort of platform, so to speak, or even if it's a volunteering, anything that where you can get some sort of perspective on the process. Try to have something where you can always remember the person who's passed. You're going to remember them anyway. It makes sense for other people to help you remember as well. I think it's important in a couple of ways. For me, at least, it feels like a calling. I can't really describe why. It just felt like a calling. And in our faith, again, we have everything called mitzvahs. So these are good deeds that you do. Doing this type of work is one of the highest mitzvahs because there's no way for the deceased to repay you. It can be, not all the time. Sometimes it's always a conscious process because of the belief that you're there to provide support for the soul that has not left. It has been released from its body, but it hasn't left yet. It's almost like a consciousness more than anything, making sure that each thing you do and each movement you make is to show respect for that person. How is it helping people dying? How does it help me live? I don't fear death. Maybe that's one. We were saying, people don't think about their taxes on their deathbed. It's all about their family and all about their faith. If that's a big part of their life, it gives me more of an inner smile more than anything, I would say. So no, I have no fear of death, and just an inner smile as to how we all pass. It's very comforting, heartwarming, knowing to be fully honest that my family will have the support. It's nice that I'll have the support in my final moments, and I know the process, so there's no mystery there. and it's dignified, but to know that my family's going to have support and recognition of what's happened to them, and that I've passed both within the community and in synagogue if they choose to go. It'll be okay. And try not to be frightened. I would guide someone if they were frightened toward, if they weren't religious or something, would be to speak to someone who has maybe some level of experience with the emotions that you're feeling. Maybe that's a chaplain, a non-denominational chaplain. Maybe there are support systems, if there are support systems for the disease that you have, maybe there's some community support that's been built or volunteering that's been built because other people have gone through it. I wouldn't hesitate to reach out for as much support as you can find. It would be the rabbi. Yeah, and it could be any rabbi. You don't have to be a member of the congregation. If you feel that you need spiritual support going through something like that, a rabbi will be there for you, for sure. Pretty much most of the experiences I've had have been the same, really. It's all basically, it all happens in the same way for all of us. I can tell you a bit of a personal funny story, and this actually has to do with my mom. So when my mom passed away, so I was with her. I wasn't there when she passed, my sister was, but she was in her last hours, I would say. And she would just fight and fight and fight it. She would not go quietly into the night. She fought it. And I sat by her bedside and I said, Mom, it's okay. It's okay. You deserve your rest now. You deserve to be cast from this body and have your freedom and pain-free. We're fine. You did a great job. All of us kids are fine. You did a fantastic job. We know you loved us. We love you, but it's okay to let go. It's okay. And she was basically comatose for 3 days prior to that. And so I left and my sister was there. And then the next day I came back. She was awake. She was not happy. She was not happy with me at all. She wouldn't look at me. She was just staring off to the side. And I was like, uh-oh. She heard me, consciously heard me. And so we had a few moments of that. And then I had to kind of be a little more pushy youngest son and take her by the face and give her some kisses and hugs to try to warm her up again. And then it was that night she passed. Yeah, from my perspective, I have absolutely seen people gain moments of lucidity near the end. I've seen it enough now, and I've heard about it enough now to know that this is those moments of lucidity that are near the end. It could probably be quite, for a family member who maybe hasn't gone through this, it could probably be quite traumatic, maybe is a strong word, but it definitely, because you can go from someone who is, basically comatose and hasn't moved or done anything for days to all of a sudden their eyes are open and they're talking to you and then they pass. So it could really be difficult, I think, for somebody who hasn't experienced that, because it is all too common for sure. It's the process is, you try to stay with it as much as you can, but if there's other things involved, like autopsies that have to happen or things like that, or if the manner of death is not conducive to someone sitting bedside, but it's best efforts, really. And we try to adhere to the traditions as best we can, but there are exceptions for sure. It stays the same, but I think for sure the family probably has a much different grieving process. But the sitting Shiva, the mourner's prayer a year later, that's all the same. This is one of my favorites. It's a poem called Your Life by Chief Tecumseh. And it says, "So live your life that the fear of death can never enter your heart. Trouble no one about their religion. Respect others in their view and demand that they respect yours. Love your life. Perfect your life. Beautify all things in your life. Seek to make your life long and its purpose in the service of your people. Prepare a noble death song for the day when you go over the great divide Always give a word or a sign of salute when meeting or passing a friend, even a stranger, when in a lonely place. Show respect to all people and grovel to none. When you arise in the morning, give thanks for the food and for the joy of living. If you see no reason to give thanks, the fault lies in yourself. Abuse no one and no thing, for abuse turns the wise ones to fools and robs the spirit of its vision. When it comes time to die, be not like those whose hearts are filled with fear of death, so that their time comes, they weep and pray for a little more time to live their lives over again in a different way. Sing your death song and die like a hero going home.